Hey guys, this is Goldy here, and in this video I'll show you a way to limit the number of recipients your users can have when they send emails. So there is a question which is recently asked at Google Cloud Community where all the G Suite customers and partners collaborate. And let me read out the question to you as you see on your screen. So the question is, students are abusing school email and sending messages to the entire organization, including staff and students. And these messages become a nightmare. Students are not messaging groups, so groups is kind of out of the scope. They are literally selecting all from the chooser when they compose new message. We really need this ability if possible. And the prospective solution to this problem should be to define a limit saying if there are more than, for example, 10 people or 5 people in the recipient header, which means the to and the CC and the BCC, then reject the message or maybe do some other actions on that message. So in this video, I'll show you how you can exactly do that and define a limit on the number of recipients your senders can have when they compose new emails. So for that, I just wanted to replicate the same scenario as we have here. So I have my admin console here, and in this I've created a few organizational unit just to replicate the scenario. So I have the teachers organizational unit with one user called teacher. You can have hundreds. And then I have a students organizational unit where we have all the students. In my case, it's just one because it's just a demonstration. And I have logged into the teacher's account right here in another window. And I have also logged into students account right here in this window. So what I'm gonna do is I'll go to content compliance because that's the rule we are gonna create. So unfortunately, when you search for the content compliance in the top navigation search bar, that does not appear. So we will be searching rather for objectionable content, and then we will go to content compliance from there. So I'll click on objectionable content. So now we are on objectionable content, but that's not what we need. We will go to content compliance section, and we will need to create a new content compliance rule. But on the left hand side, instead of creating it on the parent organizational unit, I'll go to students because that's where all my students are, where I want to put this limit. And here we will create a new content compliance rule, and let's call it limiting recipients. And we can make it either outbound, which means that will be applied when these students try to send emails outside the org, or we can also make it internal sending, so that will be applied on all the outbound outside the domain plus inside the domain too. So I'll go with this one, internal and internal sending and outbound. And here I'll create a expression saying this should be an advanced content match rule, and I'll say recipient header because that's where we will find the to and the CC and the BCC. And here we will go with the regex because we need to identify the email address. So I'll go with matches regex. Now we need to find a regex which can detect the email. So for that there are hundreds on Google. If we just say regex for email, and let 99% work. So let's scroll down a bit and look for the regex. So this seems like the regex. We will copy this regex from here, and so we will paste our regex here which we copied. So let me paste it, and let's test the regex. Now let's put the regex here. So I'm gonna put my email address, and it matches, which is good. And if I remove this, it should not match, which is perfect. Okay, so now the regex is matching, which means as soon as it finds the email address, it's gonna say the match is there. Now we can have the minimum match count to trigger this rule, which is the perfect in the use case that we are trying to solve. So here I'll put the limit of 2 because I don't want them to put more than 2 recipients, but in your case you can increase the limit as required. So now what we are saying is that as soon as email address is found in the recipient header and the minimum match count is 2, which means 2 email addresses are found, then do the trigger, and the trigger is to reject the message, and we can say please don't send to the whole world. Okay, and by default I'll edit apply to be users because groups are out of the scope, and I will do the add setting, and I will do save changes. Now let's go ahead and test it out. So for that, first I will go to teachers organizational unit where I have my user teacher, and I will compose an email here, and let me send it to 2 people. Okay, or maybe we can put 1 in CC here and 1 in BCC2. Okay, and let's say sent with 3. Ideally that should not bounce because that is the teacher organizational unit where we did not apply this limit, and it seems it was delivered. And in the meantime we will also go to the students organizational unit where we have the student user, and let's try with this one. So we'll say first recipient, and then the second recipient, and then the third recipient, and say sent with 3 by student. Okay, and let's send it, and ideally we should get a bounce here saying, and we got the bounce for all the 3 emails that we tried to send. And as you see, the response is please do not send to the whole world as we customized it. So hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to put your comments below, and I'll be happy to help. Thank you so much.